In this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate your virtual event landing page with ActiveCampaign. We're going to capture your leads, tag and segment them appropriately, and then we're going to configure a reminder email sequence to drastically increase your attendance rate. Hey, it's Craig McLean here, and this is where I help small business owners and entrepreneurs grow their business online and teach how to use technology to be more productive in their personal and professional lives. So if you see value in this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below. It really makes a huge difference. So let's jump into it. So here's the landing page that we've created for our virtual event. This was created in WordPress, and if you didn't catch my last video, we actually walked through the entire process of building this using WordPress and Elementor, which I'm going to link on the screen for you right now. So right now we've got our hero section up here. We've got just our headline and a description of what our event is going to be about, which I'm titling a workshop. We've got our countdown to the event, and when they click Save My Spot here, they can go ahead and actually register for this event. So we want to go ahead and we want to take this form and we want to actually go ahead and integrate it with our ActiveCampaign account. So this video, we are going to create a list. We're going to create a custom field, which is going to be needed for capturing the event date. We're going to create some tags. We're going to create the form that's needed, and then we're going to integrate it with the website. We're going to create the automation sequence with some reminder emails prior to the event. And then finally, we're going to actually test it out to make sure it's all working. So let's head over to my ActiveCampaign account. So here I am in my ActiveCampaign account. This is a fresh account I've created for this. The first thing I'm going to do is head over to lists. And you can see I just have the one contact list here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a list for this workshop. Now, keep in mind that a lot of people don't like to create lists for different events, and I don't like to do that for singular events. I'm going to do it because this is going to be a recurring event, and we're going to drive all of our registrants for all future events into one list. I could also use tags instead, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a list. So let's go ahead and I'm going to click on Add a List. And let's go ahead and title this Virtual Workshop. And then our list URL, I'm going to go ahead and use the URL that we're using for our landing page. And for the list description, we can go ahead and we can come up with something here. And we'll click on Add. And then we're going to click on this drop-down menu here, and we're going to choose Advanced Settings. And we're going to scroll down, and you're going to see Send Subscription Notification To. So this is a common field that you would enter your name and, your email address in to be notified when you have a new subscriber to your list or to your event. But keep in mind that this event could be a recurring one, in which case if someone registers for the event and they'd like to attend a future one, you will only be notified when they first join the list. So if they're already on the list and they go ahead and register for the event again, they're going to go ahead and get a new tag, which we're going to go ahead and create, but you're not going to be notified when they resubscribe or re-register for that second event. So for that reason, we are not going to go ahead and configure it here. We're going to actually do that in our automation sequence. So I can go ahead, I can cancel out of here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a custom field for this list. So let's go ahead and click on Manage Fields. And then we're going to click on Add Field. And we're going to name our field Virtual Workshop Event Date. We can keep it in the General Details group if we like. For the field type, we are going to choose Hidden Field. And then we're going to click on Add. So our custom field has been created. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Contacts, and we're going to click on Manage Tags. And now we're going to go ahead and add some tags for our event. So we're going to create two tags here. The first one is going to be Virtual Workshop -registered. And I prefer to use hyphens in the name here and not use any spaces. And I can go ahead and I can add another one by just adding it onto the second line. So this one I'm going to choose Virtual Workshop, and then I'm going to append the date for this. And I like to use this format. So 2021-02, and then our event date will be on the 25th. And I'll click on Add Tags. And you can see both my tags have been created. There's 0 contacts added to either of these tags, and they're not applied to any automations just yet. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to click on Site, and then we're going to click on Forms, and we're going to click on Create a Form. Our form name is going to be Virtual Workshop Registration. It's going to be an inline form, and we're going to choose a couple of actions here. So the first one is going to be subscribe to a list. So I'll click on the drop-down menu, and I'll choose Virtual Workshop. And then I'm going to add another action, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a tag. And that tag, I can start typing, and I'm just going to start typing the date for my event, and it's going to be this one. And we're going to add one more action by adding another tag. And we're going to choose our register tag. And I'm going to click on Create. So now we're going to configure our form in ActiveCampaign. So we're actually going to build a form in here, and we're going to replace the form that we're using here. So you can see that we're collecting the first name and email, and then we've just got a simple button to register. So let's go back to ActiveCampaign, and instead of full name, let's choose standard, and let's drag out first name, and you'll see it's going to replace the full name field. So let's go ahead and we can delete this field right here, or this title, and we can delete the description. And I'm actually going to click back on first name, and I'm going to make this a required field. And I'd also prefer to remove the field label, or the header as ActiveCampaign calls it. And instead I'm going to use that for the default text here. First name, and then I like to add an asterisk so that they know it's required. And then we're going to do the same for the email field. ActiveCampaign's a little funky with clicking back and forth here. That's why you can see it keeps kicking me out of there. And oh, I need to get that out of there. And now we're going to drag out our virtual workshop event date, which was a custom field that we added, and it was a hidden field. So I'm going to drag it right here, and you'll see that it's going to let me know that this is a hidden field, and that's fine. Then I'm going to click on my submit form, and I'm going to change it to confirm my registration. So now that we've got all our fields in place, we can go ahead and actually style the form in here to closely mimic this style right here. So I'll click on the Style tab, and the layout, we can still keep the vertical layout like we have here. The background color is fine as white, since our pop-up is also white. The font color is also fine as black. For the font, I'm just going to change that to Roboto because that's what I'm using on my landing page. We don't need to worry about any border or quarter radius. The width is also fine as 500 pixels. So for our button color, I have that saved, so I can simply type it in so it comes in here. There we go. The text color is fine. I don't need any border on it. Border radius, you see those little rounded corners. I'm going to go ahead and remove those, so I'm going to make that 0 pixels. And I'll also go ahead and bump up our padding. So I mentioned that the width of our form was okay as 500 pixels. We're actually going to override that because we'd like this to be responsive as well. So when someone actually visits this website and that form on a phone, it's going to be smaller and responsive to their phone because we don't want it to stick at 500 pixels. It's not going to look so good on that device. So we're going to actually add some custom CSS to do that, but also to make this submit button here a full width, just like we have set on our page right here. So I'll come back here, and I'm going to paste in some CSS, and you're going to see how that's going to adjust it. And it looks like the form is very wide, but it's only going to fill the container that it's in. So this form is actually just going to fill the pop-up form that's right here. I'm going to go ahead and paste this snippet in the description below. Now we'll click on Options, and you'll see our actions that we've already defined. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this gear icon beside the Subscribe to List option. And I'm actually going to turn off opt-in confirmation. While this is a very good thing to do to actually verify your subscribers and keep your list clean and ensure that people actually want to be on your list, and also to cut down on spam, Since this is a event registration, I'm really trying to streamline this process and not have any stumbling blocks along the way. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn off opt-in confirmation, and then I'm going to click on save. And now I'm going to click on integrate. And now we're presented with a variety of different options on how to integrate this form with our website. We've got a simple embed code, we've got a full embed code, which contains all the styling that we've defined on the previous page. We've got a link that we can use to just send someone to the basic form on an ActiveCampaign hosted page. We've got a WordPress option, which we need to use a plugin for, and we've got a Facebook option as well. And while our website is built on WordPress, we're actually going to use the simple embed method. So I'm going to head back to my landing page, and I'm actually going to log into WordPress. And if you watch my previous video on how we actually built this landing page, you'd see that we actually use the pop-up maker plugin. So we're going to click on pop-up maker and then all pop-ups. And here is our pop-up that we used, virtual workshop registration. I'll click on edit. So you can see in the visual editor here, we've gone ahead and we've put in our event date and time, and we've also put in a form here. So I'm going to click on text to actually view the raw HTML for this form. And I'm going to select this form code that we used here. And again, if you're building this page yourself, you're not going to have this in here by default. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to remove that. I'm going to create a space and I'm going to hit paste. And I'm going to paste in an iFrame snippet of text here, which you're also going to find in the description below. And this is an iFrame which we're going to use to display the form. And we've defined it to have a width of 100% and a height of 400 pixels. That was just an arbitrary height that I chose that I know would work for this form. So now I'm going to head back to ActiveCampaign, and we're still on the integrate your form page. And I mentioned that we were going to use a simple embed method. We're actually not going to use that. We're going to click on the link and we're going to use this link right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy that. I'll head back to my pop-up and I'm going to paste it in right here. Now I'm going to click on update. I'm going to view my page in a new tab. I'm going to click on save my spot, and you can see that my form is now in here. And I can always adjust the vertical spacing here, which I defined right here, which I defined as 300. I could even drop this down to, or I defined as 400. I can drop that down to 300. I can click update, and I'll refresh the page, and I'll click save my spot, and you can see that looks a little bit better. Now this is super important because what we did in ActiveCampaign is we defined a few different fields. One was going to be the first name, the email, and we also selected our hidden field, which was supposed to bring in the event date. And while that's the case, right now that field is going to be blank, but we want to populate that field with the date for this event. So what we're going to do is we're going to head back over to ActiveCampaign. We can choose save and exit to get out of here. And I'm going to click on lists. And I'm going to click on manage fields. And you can see this is the custom field that we created. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on edit beside it. And you can see that we titled it with spaces. ActiveCampaign is going to go ahead and automatically replace those spaces with underscores, which is just fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this personalization tag. I'm going to copy that. Now I'm going to head back over to my pop-up. And right after the URL that we pasted in here, which was the link to the actual form itself, I'm going to type in a question mark. I'm going to paste that field that I just copied from ActiveCampaign, and then I'm going to type in equals, and I'm going to type in the date for our event. And again, the format that I like to use is year, month, day. Now I'm going to click on update. I'm going to head back over to my form. I'm going to refresh it. I'll click on save my spot, and you're not going to see any changes, and that's fine because this is a hidden field. But just for your knowledge, so you're aware, if I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to inspect this form, and again this is more technical, but I could go ahead and I can inspect this form and I can search for that hidden field in here, and here it is. You can see that the value of that event date has been pasted into the virtual workshop event date field. So now what's super important is when someone registers for this event, that custom field is going to be applied with this event date. So that's all we need to do for actually integrating the form. Again, putting in the event date field or the value into this form isn't necessary, but I'm going to explain later on exactly why I do that, because it's going to make it super easy to update this form in the future. So let's head back over to ActiveCampaign, and I can cancel out of here, and I'm going to click on Automations. And I'm going to click on Create an Automation. And now we've got this pop-up here. We've got a number of different automations that we can start with as a framework to cut down our time, but we're just going to choose Start from Scratch, and we're going to click on Continue. Now we get to choose a trigger for our automation and what actually triggers someone to enter this automation. And while you may be tempted to choose subscribes to a list, remember at the start of this video when I mentioned someone is going to enter this list, but if they re-register again for a future event and they want to attend again and they're already on this list, this automation sequence is not going to kick off because they are already on this list. So instead of that, I'm going to search my triggers and I'm going to type in tag, and I'm going to choose tag is added, and I'm going to choose continue. Now from here, I can search for my tag name, and I'm going to search for the one with my event date in it, and here it is. And I'm going to choose this to run multiple times. And that option is there so that if someone re-registers for the same event, they can just be put back into the sequence from the beginning. We don't need to do any more segmentation for these contacts or within this automation, so we can go ahead and leave that. And we're going to choose Add Start. And again, referring to the start of this video, when we created our list, I also mentioned that the notification email we would configure within the automation sequence so that the person running this event, so if this is you running this event, you want to be notified every time you've got someone who registers for your next event. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose Send a Notification Email. And it's automatically going to populate with your ActiveCampaign account information. So it's got my name, my email, and I want to be notified for this. So I can copy this email and I want to be notified when someone registers. For my subject line, I can go ahead, I can type in Virtual Workshop New Registrant. And I can type in a message here, but I don't need to because I can include a link to the contact and a summary of those contacts fields by default. I can go ahead now and click on Preview Message. And you'll see your message will go here. I didn't put one in, but we could always do that. We can put in a basic message. And now if I preview it again, you'll see that has been updated. So I can close that out, and now I can click on Add. So before we move any further, why don't we go ahead and we can name this automation. So we'll title it Virtual Workshop. We won't call it registration because it's an automation sequence, so we'll just go Virtual Workshop and then the date. And we'll click on Save. So when someone comes into this automation, they're going to come in here if they receive this tag. I'm going to be notified if someone registers for my event. But not only do I need to be notified, I want to send them a confirmation email right away. So from the menu on the right here, I can drag out Send an Email. And then I'm going to choose Create an Email. Now I'm going to title this email. This is not going to be the subject line. It's just simply a name for my administration section here. And I'll click on Create. And we've got a number of nice templates to choose from. We're going to keep this real basic. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start from Scratch. And I'm going to leave it as standard, and I'm going to choose Continue. And the sender name and email is fine. And we'll go ahead and we'll come up with our subject line, and I'm going to use registration confirmation. And we'll click on Continue. So this is how ActiveCampaign starts from scratch. We can go ahead and we can get rid of this image right here. We can choose the gear icon and choose delete this. And yes, we're sure. And we can keep this text field in place. Let's go ahead and just change up a little bit of styling here. Let's left align this. Now let's click on our text. Let's also change the size here. Let's bump it up a little bit. It's a little bit small right now. Or we have to select it all first, sorry. And now let's replace the text with what we want. So first I'm going to type in hi, and I want to put in their first name that they actually registered with. So I'm going to click on personalize, and I'm going to choose first name, and it's automatically going to populate it into the body there. So now I'll add in a comma, a couple of line breaks, and now I'm going to paste in an email template that I prepared. And now I can update some of these placeholders. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bold that. The date of the event, Thursday, February 25th, 2021, the time. And I like to provide a couple of different time zones because I know my registrants may be from different time zones. I'm going to bold this. My event URL. You could be using any service, but for this example, let's go ahead and use Zoom. So I'm going to paste in a demo Zoom URL. And now let's hyperlink that. So I'm going to select that. And I'm going to copy it. And now we're going to click on the link icon. And I'm going to click on paste and OK. And you can see it's being hyperlinked. And if I had a password for my event, I can go ahead and I can paste that in here. So let's say we've got one. There we go. I can go ahead and bold and italicize it if I like. And then I'm just going to notify my registrants that if they have any questions, they can feel free to reply to this email. Oh, we've got reply in there twice. Let's get rid of that. And then I like to add a couple of spaces below my name here just to separate that from the footer text here. Now let's click on the gear icon. And I just want to confirm my settings. I already went ahead and set my subject line. I don't really need any pre-header text. I could go ahead and paste that in here if I like. My from name and email is correct. My reply email will come through as this, so I don't need to set it. These two settings are okay as being on to automatically generate a text version of the email. And yes, I do want mobile responsiveness on. I can go ahead and test this email if I like as well. The spam check is also passed. So let's click on close. We're going to choose next. And I'm going to click on finish. Now I can click on save. And we've got our registration confirmation email, which is going to be sent immediately. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to configure 2 reminder emails, because how often do you register for an event, a workshop, or a webinar and completely forget that it's coming up? So let's go ahead and configure a couple of reminder emails. One is going to be 24 hours before, and the other one's going to be 1 hour before. So we've configured this email. Now we need to add a delay. So let's click on Conditions and Workflow. And now we are going to drag the wait condition here. And we're going to click on wait for a specified period of time. And we're not going to wait for a certain amount of days because they could be registering on different days prior to the event. We're going to click on wait until. And we're going to see a new dialog box open here. And we're going to select a condition. And we're going to choose date and time. And all of our settings here, we don't want to use the contact's time zone. We want to use our time zone because that time zone is based on our event, not on where they're located. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose current year is 2021, which is correct. Now we're going to click on add another condition, and we want to use and, not or. We'll click on our menu, date and time, and we're going to scroll down until we find current month is, this needs to be February, and again another condition, date and time, scroll down, current day of the month is, and we're going to choose 24 because it's going to be a 24-hour or 1 day before reminder email, and our event is on February 25th. And we'll add another condition because we also want to set it exactly 24 hours before. So date and time, current time, and we want to use 2 p.m. So this is going to be 24 hours before our event. Now I'll click on save. Save again. So this was our original registration confirmation email. Now we've got our delay set, and now we can go ahead and actually create our second email. So I can go back up here, send an email, and instead of starting from scratch again, I'm going to click here and I'm going to choose copy and edit. And now I can simply adjust this email for the 24-hour reminder. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to change this text right here. So this is just a quick reminder about our virtual workshop tomorrow. The details are below. This is all going to remain the same. And I'm going to change this to see you tomorrow. Now we're going to click on the gear icon here. And we do need to update our subject line. Let's go ahead and change this. And for the subject line, not sure why that's coming up. Let's close that out. Let's try that again. Let's just enter a character there. It wants something in there for right now. Let's go ahead and click on here because we want to personalize this. Let's click first name and insert. Now I can close this. Now I can get rid of this character. Now I'm going to add in a comma, and I'm going to type in we're 24 hours away from the workshop. All of our other settings are going to be okay because it just got pulled in from our initial email, which we confirmed. Now I'll click on close. Now I'll click on next. And for our message name here, we can now update this because it's just created a copy of the name. And again, this is just for my administration end. This is not for the public view. So virtual workshop, we will change this to 24-hour reminder, and then we'll keep the date in there, and we'll click on finish, and now we'll scroll down and we're going to add another delay. So conditions and workflow, wait for a specified period of time, wait until, and now we're going to do the same thing for our conditions. So date and time, current year is 2021, and current month, we're going to change it to February, and it's going to be the date of our event. Day of the month is the 25th, and the time, our event is at 2 p.m., so we want to send a 1-hour reminder at 1 p.m. And this is 1 p.m. And we're going to choose save. And then we're going to click on save again. And then once again, we need to add in our last reminder email. So I'll click sending options. I'm going to drag out send an email. And again, drop down menu, copy and edit. And now I can go ahead and edit this email. So I can replace this text again. Our virtual workshop begins in 1 hour. Here's your access URL. And now I can get rid of this date and time. They already know what's going to be happening in 1 hour, especially by the subject line, which we're going to adjust in a minute. See the event URL. I can go ahead and remove this, or we can leave that in there. And let's just change this to chat soon. Now let's click on the gear icon. And now let's adjust our subject line again. Again, it doesn't like not having a character in there, so let's put one in there. And I want to choose first name, insert it. Now I can close this dialog box and get rid of that character. Add in a comma, and we're going to change this to we're on in 1 hour. And I can click on close. Next, and let's go ahead and rename our message. Virtual workshop 1 hour reminder, and we'll leave the date in there. And we'll click on finish, and let's scroll down. So now we've got our 1 hour reminder set. So again, looking at our automation sequence, someone comes in here through this tag, which is added through the form. We're going to notify whoever's running the event. Then we're going to send an immediate confirmation email. Then we're going to wait until 24 hours prior to the webinar, or not webinar, but workshop or virtual event. We're going to send that email. Now we're going to wait until 1 hour prior to that workshop, and we're going to send the 1 hour reminder email. Now let's go ahead and make our automation active by clicking right here. And let's head back over to our registration page. And let's refresh this. And I'm going to actually submit a test registration. Confirm my registration. And you can see it replaced this with just some text, thanks for signing up. We actually forgot to go ahead and update the confirmation URL. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's close out of here. Let's click on Site. Let's click on Forms. And beside our form, let's click Edit. Let's click on Options. And on Submit, we don't want to show thank you. We're going to choose Open URL. And we're going to paste in the link to our registration success page. And I'll click on Integrate, Save and Exit. The nice thing is I don't need to update my form code at all. So if I go ahead and click out of here, and I click Refresh, I go save my spot. Let's go ahead and register again with another email. And I click on Confirm my registration. This is going to take me to my registration confirmation or registration success page. Again, this is one that we configured in the previous video. So now I can go ahead and I can check my email. Now you can see my inbox here. I've got a couple of different notifications for new registrants because I submitted 2 different tests. So I can get rid of this one. And you can see that I've just been notified of a new registrant. And get rid of this one as well. And then this is the one which will go out to the registrant. And this is just sending them the confirmation as well as the details for the workshop. So that's perfect, it's functioning. Let's go ahead and we can close out this email. And we're back in ActiveCampaign. Let's go ahead and click on Contacts. And now you can see my test contacts here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. And you're going to see the 2 tags applied here. So the virtual workshop and the date, as well as a virtual workshop registered. And I know we didn't use this tag in the automation sequence, but this tag could come in handy later when you want to search for all past attendees, no matter what date that they attended. You'll see that they're in the virtual workshop list, and you can see the current automation sequence that they're in. And up above here, you're going to see virtual workshop event date, and the event date was populated here. So as we can see, everything is functioning. So the next step is for your future events, updating this. So it's already, the framework is already set up, but now how to update this for your future events. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to click on Contacts. We're going to click on Manage Tags. And you're going to create a new tag for that event date. The next thing you can do is you can head over to Site, Forms, And now we just need to edit this form. We don't need to duplicate it. We can simply edit it. We'll click on Options. And we're going to change the tag that's applied here. So you're going to select the tag that you just created in the previous step. And then you're going to click on Integrate. Then you're going to come back over to WordPress. And in your pop-up form here, you're going to change the date value right here. So virtual workshop event date equals, continue using this same format and just update this and click on update. Then you're going to head back over to ActiveCampaign. You're going to click on automations, and you can go ahead and you can actually copy this automation sequence and just go ahead and you can update all of the emails. You can reset the timers so that it's going to go ahead and send the emails at the correct times. And then finally, just test to ensure that everything is functioning. One last thing, we're going to click on Contacts. And now, instead of searching your virtual workshop list for all your contacts who have registered for that event, you can instead use tags. Now, while I've only got 3 test contacts in here, it doesn't look like it would be too difficult to search and find out who's actually registered for your event. If you've got hundreds or thousands of contacts in here and you're running these events every month or every couple of months and you've got a past history of lots of events, this can be a little bit troublesome to find out who's actually registered for your current event and who's registered for previous ones. So guys, as a bonus, if you're an existing ActiveCampaign user and want to get your hands on this exact automation sequence that you can simply import and tweak, just check for the link in the description below. It's totally free. And if you're not an existing ActiveCampaign owner, but have been on the fence about giving it a try, grab a free trial at this link. It's a provider that I use in my business and I highly recommend them. Now I do get a credit if you continue on past that free trial, but it simply helps me grow this channel. So if you have any issues with your existing campaign or have any questions, just drop a comment below and I'll reply with my feedback. Thanks guys, and see you in the next video.